Okay, hi, my name is Aaron Eckstein. This is my multimedia presentation on storytelling and social media. So, as an opening statement, I think that a lot of people would sort of be skeptical of the idea that social media is storytelling, or if it is, that it's not very sophisticated storytelling. When I've brought this up with a lot of my friends, they usually raise their eyebrow at me and question how something as banal and self-absorbed as social media could possibly be any form of like sophisticated media consumption. It's brain rot. It's meant to keep you scrolling and nothing else. But I kind of want to push back against that narrative and explain sort of how social media has become the ultimate form of storytelling within this project. So, the beginnings of storytelling. I'm not going to dwell too long on this because while I could talk about it forever and ever and ever, I think it's more important to sort of establish what we're talking about rather than go into it blind. So we have original art. The rock in the top right of my screen is the oldest form of human art ever created. It is a rock with paint maybe on it, but it was discovered, and this is where we started. To give you perspective, this is our beginning point, and of course from there we get into legitimate storytelling, we get into oral tradition, we get into the first written work that we've discovered, which is the Epic of Gilgamesh. It has a huge influence on Homeric works. We're going to talk more about Homer in a minute, but the Odyssey, the Iliad, those kinds of things. It has major implications on religious passages. It's the first sort of work to really focus on the gods, and that becomes, if you've ever read any Homeric works, a really important part of those works as it relates to the overall plot that they're telling. And of course we get evolution. This is, thousands and thousands of years, so we're being incredibly brief, but we get Homer and the birth of what are called complex stories, with more characters, with more themes. The Epic of Gilgamesh is really just the story of Gilgamesh. Homer and the gradual progression have introduced more characters into stories. We have the evolution of art, we have statues and paintings, we have Michelangelo and Da Vinci, which are sort of those big sculptors that you think of. And with sculptures in particular, we need to take particular note of those. They're pictures of people, they're pictures of people doing things, and they're meant to capture an image of their life. We get plays with Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. He is massively influential, probably the single biggest writer to ever walk the planet, other than maybe Homer. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention music, because I think that music is also a form of storytelling that gets a little bit underrated for the written word, because writing is taken so literally sometimes. I think music also gets left behind. And then, so where from here? So what are the problems with a Shakespeare play? What are the problems with a Homeric epic? Now, I feel bad criticizing those people because obviously these are future. I can sort of look at them and say that these kinds of things are two-dimensional. You can't control the perspective by which somebody views your story. It's simply a story that somebody will read. We get into the idea of what is a story. We have to question meta-narrative for the first time. And something that I would also want to mention is with music, with renewing theme over and over again. What I have in the bottom left is the Dies Irae, which I could talk about forever, but it's basically, it stems from a classical piece talking about the death of Jesus, where it is meant to symbolize death, and you can find it in everything. It's in every score that you've ever heard. It's in, like, from Star Wars to Hamlet to anything that you can think of. The Dies Irae at least makes an appearance because it's so universal that when you hear it, you'll automatically think death. It's just from the cultural osmosis of existing for so long. It's impossible not to know what, especially those first four chords, mean when you hear them in a piece. So then we get into film. We get into experimental pieces like Citizen Kane. We get Art Imitates Life. We get propaganda, which is a big thing here. That isn't to say that propaganda didn't exist before. A lot of Shakespeare plays exist royalty, and they were made for the royalty, so you can argue that those are a form of propaganda. And we get, most importantly to my overall point, the rise of Hollywood, which is remakes of old stories. We get the recreation of a lot of things, and you'll find that music and storytelling is cyclical. You'll find the dies irae in everything. You'll find these similar themes in everything. You'll get recreations of movie version of Hamlet, and you'll get a movie version of the Odyssey, and you'll get a movie version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. All those exists. And more importantly, you'll get pieces of those in other things. You'll get themes from the Epic of Gilgamesh. You'll get themes from Hamlet. You'll get themes from Twelfth Night. You'll get all of these sort of ideas that coalesce in other works and become more than the sum of their parts as storytelling evolves. And so this ties into social media. So when I introduced it, I know that this hasn't been a lot about social media, but I really wanted to lay the groundwork for storytelling. What is storytelling? And social media, to me, has become the ultimate creation of storytelling, where instead of somebody writing a story about characters, about themes, instead you are the story. It isn't Shakespeare writing down about Hamlet. It isn't Shakespeare writing about Macbeth. It's you. You are the story. You are the characters. You are the setting. You are the creation that you are telling by writing the story, which sort of speaks to this evolution of storytelling as it becomes more of a meta-narrative. With the Homeric epics especially, I find those interesting because especially with the Odyssey, which has a more cohesive narrative, it really follows the tale of someone's life. It follows Odysseus. What is Odysseus doing? How is he going to get home? It really follows that sort of theme. And with social media especially, you're showing that theme at all times. And when you look at a backlog of social media posts, you're really telling the story of how you got here and what you've been doing, which makes it the ultimate form of storytelling because it allows you to document your life and make that your story. So social media is really how we all tell our own stories, and relating this into our class, really what makes someone engage with that, which is that we're all people. We want to hear other people's stories. We want to write our own stories. And so the creation of social media is so impactful for business because it allows you to engage with something that may not have otherwise existed, to engage with a real person rather than a product. And that is the theme of my presentation for today. So thank you for watching and listening.